Discover the incredible journey of the ignored poor girl who transformed into a television legend in the heart of Willow Creek, a town weighed down by economic tension and dreams that seemed perpetually out of reach. Lived Lily. She spent her days navigating the lonely halls of Willow Creek High, where whispers followed her like shadows. Each morning, she could hear the hesitant shifts in the conversations around her, the furtive glances that told her she was different, an ignored girl from a single-parent household, with aspirations that dared to defy the drudgery of her surroundings. But deep within, she yearned for greatness, one day dreaming of becoming a television producer. Her mother, a tireless worker juggling 2 jobs, often came home exhausted but would always spark a glimmer of hope in Lily's eyes. "Dreams need hard work, Lily. They don't come to you," her mother would say. And it was through her mother's warmth that Lily learned resilience. Little moments, like the way her mother smiled when she shared her scripted ideas, shone like stars in their modest apartment. But outside their haven, the world felt colder. Each taunt from classmates about her background struck like ice, making her heart tighten in her chest. "You'll never make it," they'd say, their words cutting deeper than they knew. But then came the project, an opportunity to showcase the spirit of Willow Creek. Lily poured her heart into capturing the stories of local residents, feeling alive for the first time as she turned their struggles and triumphs into something beautiful. The laughter of children playing, the struggles of workers after long shifts, the stories of survival amid hardship, all of these became her canvas. Each interview ignited a flame of unity that had long been dormant in her heart, a feeling that this would be her stepping stone. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Her project seemed like a beacon of hope until disaster struck. A rival group sabotaged her work right before the showcase. Terrified whispers filled the air, drowning Lily in doubt. Had she just been fooling herself? That gut-wrenching feeling of betrayal made her question her worth. Yet, somewhere within her echoed her mother's lessons. Vulnerability is not failure, and dreams are worth fighting for. As the community began to rally around her, Lily felt a renewed sense of purpose. She could be the voice for the ignored, the underrepresented. With her passion ignited once again, she prepared for the regional media competition, her heart racing with equal parts fear and excitement. This was the moment she had worked for, the chance to turn her modest desires into something extraordinary, to reclaim her voice. But just as the competition approached, a chilling revelation threatened to unravel everything. The shadows of her past were creeping in once more. With her dreams on the brink and doubts gnawing at her resolve, she faced the ultimate choice. Would she allow fear to hold her back, or rise up to claim her place among those who dared to dream? The audience awaited her moment of truth, their energies palpable in the air. Lily stood on the precipice of destiny, heart pounding, all eyes upon her. Would she embrace hope, or fade back into the shadows? Lily stood backstage, heart racing like the flutter of a hummingbird's wings. The metallic taste of fear clung to her tongue, and she could feel the tremor in her hands. The stage loomed large before her, illuminated under the bright lights that flickered like stars trapped in a night sky. This was her moment, the culmination of every tear she had shed, every late night studying, every ounce of courage she had summoned despite the doubts that haunted her. She took a deep breath, remembering her mother's words. "You are stronger than you think, Lily." They were like a mantra echoing in her mind. Out there, the audience was a mix of faces, some familiar, others strangers, but all were waiting for a glimpse of the girl who had dared to tell their stories. As the host called her name, a hush fell over the crowd. It was now or never. She stepped into the spotlight, the warmth of the lights making her blink. For a moment, the weight of her fears threatened to push her back, but she straightened her spine, the air thick with anticipation urging her forward. Lily Thompson, representing Willow Creek. The applause washed over her like a wave, invigorating her spirit. She held the remote to control her presentation and felt the cool, comforting grip of it against her palm. Confidence surged through her as she began, sharing the tales she had collected. Moments of hardship, laughter, resilience. Each story was a thread woven together, creating a tapestry that celebrated the human spirit, her spirit. With every image that appeared on the screen, she spoke passionately, determined to paint the picture of her community. Her voice drowned out the whispers of doubt, rising like a phoenix from ashes. She saw her classmates in the crowd, surprised expressions on their faces as they recognized the value in what she was presenting. But halfway through, her heart sank. A voice echoed from the back, words sharp as daggers. "You think you can just take our stories and make something of yourself?" The taunts from a familiar face sent a shiver down her spine, and the moment she had built around empowerment cracked slightly. Lily hesitated, the moment of truth scaring her into silence. In that split second, everything she had fought for felt fragile. Did she dare to speak? Would she let someone drown out her voice once more? As she stood there, doubt clawed at her. Yet beneath it, something powerful ignited. She turned to face the audience again, breathing in their collective hope. "I am here not just to share my story, but to celebrate all of our stories, our struggles, our victories. We rise together." The room erupted in applause. It felt like a warm embrace, pushing Lily forward. She spoke faster now, with fire behind her words, allowing every ounce of doubt to propel her higher. The energy in the room shifted, the support overwhelming, and she could see her mother's proud face beaming in the crowd. But as the applause rang out, an unexpected figure entered the stage, the look in their eyes unreadable. Time seemed to freeze as the sparkling light of hope began to dim. Who was this person? And what did they want from Lily? The air thickened with uncertainty as the crowd hushed, all eyes now on this newcomer. Would this twist of fate threaten everything she had worked for? Had she truly stepped forward? Or was she simply moving back into the shadows once more? The figure stepped closer, their expression a mix of confusion and anger. It was Tyler, one of her former classmates, someone who had never shown much respect for her ambitions. He was a ghost from her past that she thought she'd left behind. The haunting whispers he used to throw at her in the hallways seemed to echo in the silence of the auditorium. "Lily!" he shouted over the fading applause. "What makes you think you can speak for all of us? You don't know our pain, you just want the spotlight." His words sliced through the atmosphere, putting a pall over her moment of triumph. Lily's heart plummeted. For an instant, the warmth of courage she had savored turned bitter in her throat. Had she really been wrong to share these stories? Did she truly have a place in this whirlpool of voices clamoring for attention? The crowd was restless, caught between the urge to support Lily and their uncertainty about this confrontation. Lily could see several familiar faces shifting uncomfortably, whispers rising like smoke. Some looked surprised, others disappointed, but all were watching her now, waiting for her next move. Taking another steadying breath, she forced herself to meet Tyler's gaze, defiance sparking within her. "I may not know every individual struggle, but I know the power of sharing those stories," she replied, her voice trembling but louder with resolve. "That power can uplift us, can tie us together. Isn't that what we all want?" A flicker of surprise crossed Tyler's face. Perhaps he hadn't expected her to respond. The silence around them felt electric as the audience leaned in, their interest piqued. They were hungry for her words, and so was she. "I didn't take anyone's story," she continued, her passion rising. "I've taken the time to listen, to understand. This project represents hope, unity, and the chance to rise above our struggles. I'm not here to overshadow anyone, I'm here to stand with you." A murmur ran through the crowd, some nodding, others whispering encouragement. Suddenly, Lily felt a shift in the energy of the room, as if the audience themselves were on the brink of deciding where they stood. The palpable tension hung thick, but it was beginning to dissolve, replaced by something more supportive. "You're just a wannabe," Tyler shot back, desperation laced with his words. You think this makes you special? I don't need to be special, Tyler. I just want to make a difference for everyone, she said, her heart racing as she took a step closer. Perhaps this was her chance to help him see, help him understand. You don't understand, Tyler said under his breath, almost to himself, the fight leaving his posture. I may not fully understand, but I'm willing to try, she replied gently, a thread of compassion weaving through her voice. We can build something together. Imagine how powerful it would be if we all shared our truths. We could inspire hope. All eyes were on them, the murmurs shifting from hostile to contemplative. Tyler hesitated, visibly weighing her words. The crowd was shifting again, anticipation building. But then he turned to leave. You'll just end up alone. The sting of his words carved into her chest. Yet she stood solid, refusing to back down. A lump formed in her throat, but her eyes shone with determination. Lily had begun this journey for her community, and she wouldn't let one person take that away. When the waves of applause finally broke free again, it was different this time. It was layered with support, stitching a fabric of resilience across the auditorium. Lily felt the swell of energy wrap around her. But at the same time, Tyler's last words echoed ominously in her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that this battle had just begun as the host returned to the stage, his expression a mix of confusion and admiration. Lily knew she had made her stand, but the question was looming large. Would Tyler's discontent grow, or could he become an ally instead? The lights above her flickered. The audience's applause faded. But one thing remained clear. She was here to stay, and this was only the beginning of her journey. Lily stood frozen, the applause still echoing in her ears. But the warmth that had burst from the crowd moments ago now felt like a distant memory. Tyler's words gnawed at her. Would she really end up alone? A flood of uncertainty washed over her. She glanced at the faces in the audience, searching for their support. But her heart ached at the thought of losing them as the host began to speak. Lily turned her focus inward. She had always been an underdog. Growing up, her dreams seemed just out of reach, like stars dancing in the night sky. She had fought hard for every moment of recognition. And now, here she was at this pivotal point. If she was going to lead this group, she had to find the strength to confront her fears. Lily, someone called from the crowd, a familiar voice breaking through her thoughts. It was Sarah, her best friend. You've got this. Remember why you started. That simple reminder reignited her fire. The ballroom, filled with dim lights and hopeful eyes, felt more like a sanctuary now. Lily raised her chin, drawing in a deep breath as Sarah's encouragement echoed in her mind. She was here to uplift others, not just herself. The hostess' voice grew quiet, and Lily stepped back into the spotlight. Thank you, she called out, her voice soft but firm. Thank you all for standing with me. The crowd cheered again, and this time, it was a symphony of unity. Fear began to dissolve into hope as she realized the power of her voice. She smiled, feeling that maybe, just maybe, she could bridge the gap with Tyler. Many of you know hardship. I do too, she continued, her tone filled with sincerity. It's not easy to live through pain and feel like you're invisible. I've been there, and I can see that many of you have lived it too. Heads nodded. Lily felt the path between her heart and theirs strengthen. Together we can change the narrative. I'm not asking for a spotlight. I'm asking for a journey we can walk together. This wasn't about her anymore. It was about them. The crowd shifted, leaning in, sensing that transformation was within reach. The energy rippled around her, and she could feel it, an electric undercurrent of shared experience, of stories waiting to be told. Yet, she was still aware of Tyler, slowly backing away. He lingered on the edge of the room, arms crossed, a frown clouding his face. The air between them crackled with unresolved tension. Could she reach him? Let us make this a movement, not just a moment. Lily called to the audience. Let us be the ones who finally share our truths, to bring the silence into the light. A thunderous applause erupted, and Lily's heart raced. But amid the applause, Tyler turned, his face masking a complex swirl of emotions as he walked toward the exit. The raw blend of confusion and anger remained etched on him. "Tyler, wait!" she shouted impulsively as she rushed to intercept him. The crowd was buzzing, their whispers a mixture of curiosity and concern. He paused, but didn't he turn back? This was the moment. "I want to understand you," she insisted, her voice firm. "I want you to be part of this. We need every voice, including yours." But the shadows of his past loomed large. Would he turn around? Or would he walk out, leaving a fracture that couldn't be healed? With a pounding heart, she stood waiting, searching for any flicker of doubt in his stance, any sign that he might reconsider. The rest of the audience held their breath, caught in this unexpected confrontation. Would this be the moment of truth that united them all, or would it widen the gap that divided them so profoundly? The crowd waited, a thick tension hanging in the air like an electric storm threatening to break. Lily's heart hammered against her ribs, feeling like it might burst from the weight of the moment. Tyler was still, his back to her, and the silence stretched, heavy with unsaid words. "Tyler," she called again, softer this time. "Please just look at me." Reluctantly, he turned. The moment their eyes met, time seemed to stop. His expression was a mix of anger and pain, a storm brewing just beneath the surface. Yet, there was a flicker of something more: uncertainty, perhaps, or a longing for connection that he couldn't quite suppress. "Why should I?" he shot back, his voice steady but filled with raw hurt. "You think just because you had your moment out there, everything's okay?" Lily shook her head, searching for the right words to reach him. "It's not okay. Not yet. I know that. But I'm trying to change things, for all of us. I know you're hurting, too." He stared at her, the hardness in his eyes wavering slightly. "You don't know me, you don't know what I've been through. I may not know everything," she admitted, feeling the warmth of vulnerability. "But I want to understand. I want you to share your story, like I'm sharing mine." The movement in the room shifted, the audience sensing the possibility of a breakthrough. Sarah leaned forward, a hopeful whisper dancing on her lips. "You can do this, Tyler. You are not alone." "I'm tired of being part of a group that just pretends to care," he said, the shadow of a storm still clouding his features. "I'm tired of being ignored." "But you're not ignored," Lily argued, her voice rising slightly with passion. "Look at everyone here. They're with us. They'll listen. If we work together, we can create real change. We can start a conversation that matters." A soft murmur spread through the crowd, encouraging murmurs of agreement trickling through. It was a sound of solidarity, a wave that Lily could sense building, reaching out to Tyler. "Tyler, I know fear holds you back. It holds us all back to some degree. But we have a chance. Right now. Let us take it together," she implored, stepping closer, bridging the gap between them with sincerity. He hesitated, his jaw tightening as uncertainty flickered across his face. "What if I don't know how to open up? What if it doesn't make a difference?" "Then we learn together," Lily replied, her voice steady. "We're not perfect, and this won't be easy. But if you join me, we'll make something beautiful out of our struggles." Silence shrouded the room once more as Tyler's internal battle raged on. The audience held their breath, sensing the importance of this moment. Hope surged like fresh air as they watched the possibility of reconciliation unfold. Finally, Tyler lowered his gaze, his shoulders slumping slightly, as if he were shedding a weight he had been carrying for far too long. "You really think they'll want to hear me?" "Absolutely," Lily said, her heart lifting as she stepped closer still. "Your voice is powerful. Your story matters. I'll help you find it. We'll rise together." The flicker of doubt in his eyes began to dim, and Lily could almost hear the gears shifting in his mind. She held on to that spark, hoping it would ignite a flame strong enough to overcome the shadows. His stance softened a little, and Lily felt a surge of hope swell in her chest. But the uncertainty lingered in the room. While a step closer had been taken, the journey to full understanding was still ahead. "Are you ready to join this movement?" she asked, her heart beating wildly with anticipation. With a slow breath, Tyler glanced around, absorbing the faces that had come to support them both. Would he step forward into the light, or retreat back into the darkness. But then, before he could speak, the host re-entered, capturing everyone's attention. Let us hear from our guest speakers next. The audience is eager to understand how we can continue moving forward. Lily's heart sank slightly, knowing this might disrupt their moment. But she glanced at Tyler one last time, and everything hung on his next decision. Would he step back into the shadows, or would he finally embrace the light? The spotlight shifted abruptly to the host, who stood smiling at the audience, oblivious to the fragile moment lingering between Lily and Tyler. Lily's heart raced as she felt the tension pull tight again, a familiar fear creeping in. What if this was it? What if she had lost him the moment the host walked in? Today, we're here to listen, learn, and support each other, the host proclaimed, his voice booming with enthusiasm. And to kick off our discussion, we have some remarkable guests who overcome their challenges and turn their lives around. Lily cast a quick glance at Tyler. He was staring at the ground, his shoulders slumped as if they bore the weight of 1,000 regrets. It struck her then this wasn't just about the audience. It was about him. She took a small step back, ready to give him space, but also ready to catch him if he fell point one by one. Speakers took the stage, sharing stories of resilience and transformation. Each tale was met with applause, though the cheer echoed hollow in Lily's ears. Her focus was solely on Tyler, wondering if the words of others could touch the storm brewing within him. Your story matters, she murmured to him, leaning closer. Whenever you're ready, Tyler shifted, finally lifting his gaze and locking eyes with her. The fire of his anger was still flickering there, mixed inexplicably with hope. What if they don't get it? He asked, his voice barely a whisper, lost in the crowd. They will, she promised, her heart pounding in sync with his uncertainty. You just have to try. And if it's too much, it's never too much, Tyler interrupted, his voice gaining strength. That's the problem. I've never been allowed to speak. In that moment, she caught a glimmer of resolve in him, a flicker of the courage she believed was buried deep inside. Then let us change that. Together. The next speaker finished their powerful narrative, and the applause faded, leaving a pregnant silence. The host scanned the audience, their faces expectant, alive with possibility. Now, let us hear from someone who has been sitting quietly with us, the host said, turning toward the pair. Tyler. We'd love to hear your voice. Tyler's breath hitched in his throat. Gasps flitted through the crowd at his name. The spotlight now burned bright on him, illuminating the mix of terror and determination etched across his face. He looked at Lily, seeking reassurance in her steady gaze. Go, she encouraged, her voice just above a whisper. You're ready. Time slowed as he stood, every eye in the room fixed on him. He glanced away for a second, taking in the faces of those who had come for him, for both of them. Friends, strangers, allies all waiting for his story as he walked towards the stage. He felt the weight of expectations. But something shifted within him, a reminder that he wasn't just a pawn in someone else's game. This was his moment. Thank you for giving me the floor, he began, voice tremulous yet fierce. The emergency alarm blared a harsh, jarring interruption. The audience looked around in confusion, whispers spreading like wildfire. Tyler froze, the words caught in his throat like thorns. What's happening? Lily shouted, glancing around nervously. Before anyone could answer, the room erupted into chaos. People began to rise, shuffling in panic, searching for the nearest exit. Tyler looked back at Lily, his eyes wide. The moment they had reached for was dissolving into turmoil. Wait, Lily cried out. We need to stay together. But as the crowd surged toward the doors, her voice was drowned out by the cacophony of fear and confusion. Tyler's expression shifted from panic to frustration. In this whirlwind, would he be able to find his voice again? Or would the storm sweep him away entirely? The question loomed larger as they were pulled apart in the rush. Tyler felt a surge of panic as bodies pressed around him, the chaos of the crowd swallowing him whole. The emergency alarm blared like a siren in his mind, drowning out any rational thought. It felt as if the ground beneath him had suddenly tilted, sending him careening into a dizzying expanse of confusion and fear. Lily. His voice strained to rise above the clamoring crowd, but it was swallowed up. The faces that had once appeared as allies now morphed into a blur of anxiety and terror, their expressions frantic as they pushed toward the exits. He turned back, searching for that anchor, the steady gaze of the girl who had filled him with hope moments before. But she was lost in the crowd, her light eclipsed by the shadows of chaos. Just as he thought he might crumble under the pressure, a familiar voice cut through the noise. Tyler. He spun around to see Lily approaching through a pocket of space, cutting against the current. There was determination in her eyes that made him remember why he was there. He needed to pull himself together, strip away the fear that had bound him for too long. Over here, Tyler shouted, and miraculously, their eyes locked again, a brief moment of clarity amid the chaos. He pushed his way through the throng, guided by the unshakable connection they shared. Finally, they found each other, and Lily gasped as she reached out to him, her hand clutching his tightly. "I thought I lost you," she exclaimed. "I was right here, just lost in the panic." His heart raced, but this time not from fear. They stood together at the heart of the madness, two souls tethered to each other by something greater than the chaos around them. "Let us get out of here," Lily urged, pulling him back toward where they had come from. They maneuvered through the crowd, hearts pounding, bodies brushing against each other in a rush for safety. Just as they neared the exit, the blaring sirens suddenly stopped. The room fell quiet, a collective breath held in suspense. Murmurs of confusion floated through the air, and Tyler felt relief wash over him. "Is it over?" he wondered aloud, glancing back at the crowd. "It has to be," Lily whispered, her voice low but filled with hope. But a voice blasted through the silence, a calm but firm announcement. "Please remain calm." There was a false alarm. "We appreciate your cooperation." A wave of collective relief rippled through the audience. Conversations ignited as people exchanged nervous laughs, realizing they had let fear get the better of them. But Tyler's gaze remained fixed on Lily. In that moment, everything else faded away, leaving just the two of them. "Are you okay?" he asked, desperation flickering behind his facade. "More than okay." She smiled brightly, her eyes sparkling. "You didn't let fear take you down. You stood up. I knew you would." Brimming with newfound confidence, Tyler considered her words. She saw beyond his doubts, illuminating a path he hadn't recognized before. "I almost let it." "Yeah, but you didn't," she affirmed, a knowing look on her face. "And now you're here. You just have to tell your story." He took a deep breath, feeling the weight on his shoulders lift slightly, realizing that the crowd he once feared could actually be his audience, his allies. "Together? Always," Lily replied, locking her fingers with his. With their hands intertwined, Tyler turned back toward the stage, heart pounding not just from fear, but from the promise of his emerging voice. He was ready to step into the light again, to reclaim his moment. Just then, the host approached them with a bright smile. "Are you two ready to share what you really have to say?" Tyler glanced at Lily, the warmth of her hand igniting an ember of courage deep within. He nodded, breathing in determination. But as he stepped forward, something deep in his gut twisted, as he recalled the silence that had taken over moments before. What if the fear came back? What if he couldn't share his story after all? The tension grew thick around them as the audience slowly settled back into their seats. Would he really find the strength to speak? Or would the storm return to take him under? The answer hung in the air as Tyler took a deep breath, preparing to step back into the spotlight once more. Unsure if the storm would come or if he would finally emerge free. Tyler took a deep breath, his heart racing in tandem with the mounting anticipation in the auditorium. The audience's eyes were on him, unyielding and expectant. He felt Lily's grip tighten. Her presence anchored him, filling the emptiness that anxiety wanted to consume. "Okay, this is it," he muttered to himself, summoning the strength while the host gestured for them to step forward. The sound of the microphone going live crackled in the air, bringing forth an involuntary shiver down his spine. He looked out at the faces. Some beamed with encouragement, while others wore expressions of apprehension. But there was something almost liberating in the uncertainty. Fear would always wait in the wings, but he could choose not to dance with it. "Hey everyone," he began, his voice a mixture of confidence and vulnerability. "I'm Tyler, and this is Lily." He motioned toward her, and she flashed a reassuring smile that made the world seem a little less daunting. The crowd murmured back, inviting him in. It was an embrace, not just a stage. "I guess I want to start with a story about fear, about how it can grip you when you least expect it." He took another steadying breath. This was no longer just a performance. This was real. "Just a few moments ago, I was lost in a crowd, feeling completely overwhelmed. But then, I saw her." He nodded to Lily. "She pulled me back from the edge." The reactions were immediate, soft gasps and nods coursing through the audience as they connected with his struggle. He pushed on, emotions swirling like a tornado within him. "You see, fear can tell us to shrink, to hide, can convince us to believe we aren't enough. But tonight, surrounded by all of you, I realize that fear isn't something to avoid. It's something we have to face, something we can transform." Lily's eyes sparkled with something that felt like pride. He could tell she believed in him, and that belief began to melt the chains of doubt that had once bound him. "My transformation started the moment I realized that I wasn't alone," he continued, his voice gaining strength. "Every person in this room has their battles. Many of you have felt this wild rush of panic at a moment when you needed to stand tall, just like I did. We've all been there." He scanned the crowd, seeing heads nodding in unison, some faces glistening with tears, some illuminated with hope. Tyler felt the room swell with shared empathy, a moment of collective understanding. "I used to think I had to go through my struggles in isolation. But once I began to reach out, to share my truth, I found not just support but a community of family. You don't have to face your fears alone." An audible sigh of relief swept through the audience. He could almost feel the weight lifting from the collective shoulders. "And that's the beauty of stepping into the light together," he said, his voice unwavering. "We become stronger, ready to face adversity, not just for ourselves but for each other." Lily beamed, and the crowd erupted into applause. Tyler felt the heat rush to his cheeks, his heart swelling as the sound washed over him. The fear that had threatened to consume him moments before melted away, leaving behind raw courage as the applause faded. He took a deep breath, riding the high of emotion flooding through him. "I want to encourage all of you to share your stories. Don't let fear dictate your narrative. Let us create a world where we lift each other up." The enthusiasm in the room was palpable, electric. Each clap was a pulse of shared hope, driving home a powerful truth he had just unearthed. But just as he finished speaking, a sudden thud echoed from the back of the auditorium, snatching everyone's attention. People turned, curiosity swirling in the air. A figure stumbled as the crowd gasped, and Tyler's heart sank. What now? Would this moment be overshadowed by chaos again? The weight of uncertainty gripped him as he exchanged worried glances with Lily. Would fear rear its head once more? Or could they rise through the storm together? Tyler's gaze darted to the back of the room. The audience was shifting, murmurs of confusion and worry rippling through the crowd like a wave. He squinted into the dim light. There, near the exit, a girl in a worn-out sweater clutched a stack of papers. She looked disoriented, her eyes wide with embarrassment. "Does anyone need help?" Tyler called, the urgency in his voice slicing through the tension. He stepped off the stage, his instincts kicking in. Lily followed closely behind, worry lacing her expression. As they approached, Tyler could see that the girl was trembling. Her papers fluttered like leaves caught in the wind. For a moment, the entire auditorium fell silent, the weight of anxious anticipation hanging heavily in the air. "Are you okay?" Tyler asked gently, kneeling to her level. He held out a hand, trying to meet her eyes. She looked anywhere but at him, shame radiating from her like heat. "I'm sorry," she stammered. "I just wanted to give my speech too. But I lost my courage." Tyler's heart twisted. He recognized that look, that feeling of being invisible in a room filled with people. You don't have to apologize. You're brave for even being here. This is your moment, just like it was mine. He encouraged, the words flowing from his heart. The girl's gaze met his, a flicker of hope igniting in her expression. Really? Absolutely, Lily chimed in, joining his side. We're all here to support each other. Take your time. With that, Tyler carefully took the papers from her shaking hands. You've got this, he whispered, giving her a reassuring smile as the girl took a deep breath. The crowd began to whisper again, this time with interest rather than fear. They were waiting, willing to give her the space she needed. The girl straightened, brushing her messy hair back nervously. Hi, my name is Mia, she said, her voice shaky yet full of potential. I'm not used to speaking in front of people, but I wanted to share my story like Tyler did. Everyone leaned in, holding their breath. Tyler felt a swell of connection in the room. This was what it meant to face fear together. And then she spoke, sharing her struggles with anxiety, her dreams deferred, her desire for acceptance. As she spoke, a silent bond grew between her and the audience. With every word, Mia began to transform. Her voice grew bolder. Tyler watched, mesmerized. It was like he was witnessing a butterfly emerge from its cocoon, fragile yet brilliant. The room was electric, filled with a shared understanding. By the time she finished, her face glowed with relief and unexpected pride. The audience erupted into applause, and Tyler couldn't help but feel a rush of joy at the moment unfolding before him as Mia stepped down. Tears brimming in her eyes, she flashed a smile that lit up the room. Tyler approached her carefully, feeling the warmth of their shared experience. You were amazing, he said, his voice warm. You inspired us all. But as the applause rang out, Tyler couldn't shake the feeling that something was changing in the atmosphere. An undercurrent of tension was creeping back in. The crowd was still buzzing, and he saw Lily's eyes widen again as she turned back to the door where Mia had entered. What is it? Tyler asked, the intensity of the moment sharpening. Before she could answer, there was another loud sound, a crash. A group of figures rushed into the auditorium, faces tense, shifting the dynamic entirely. Tyler's heart raced as uncertainty gripped him once more. What was happening? Would they still find strength together? Or was this the storm that would pull them apart? He looked at Lily, desperately searching for answers in her eyes. Would they stand together again? Or would fear drag them into chaos? Just as chaos threatened to swallow the moment once more, a familiar figure stepped forward, Tyler's younger sister, Emily, her face pale and distraught. Tyler, she shouted, and the panic in her voice cut through the noise like a knife. They're outside. They're trying to shut it down. The audience erupted in murmurs, the anxiety brewing again as people looked around, eyes wide and searching for answers. Tyler's heart raced. What does that mean? He yelled back, fighting to hear over the growing crescendo of concern. They want to silence your message, Emily said, stepping closer, her hands fidgeting as if she were still trying to come to terms with her own fear. They don't want to hear what you have to say. Tyler felt a rush of adrenaline. Just after he had begun to reclaim his voice, a shadow threatened to eclipse it again. But then he turned, looking at Lily and Mia. This isn't just my fight. It's all of ours. His words resonated through the dimly lit space, igniting something inside him, a fire that refused to be extinguished. Lily nodded, her determination evident as she stepped closer. We won't let anyone silence us, she called, her voice carrying strength. The crowd stirred, sharing glances of uncertainty and determination. We shared our stories, and together we'll stand strong. The atmosphere shifted. A sense of solidarity began to pulse in the room. Everything they had fought for was suddenly on the line. Tyler stepped forward, standing before the audience, heart pounding, their anxious eyes locked onto him. This is our space, he declared. We are not afraid to speak our truths. We will not have our voices silenced. The room filled with his passionate words, igniting urgency in their hearts. His sister and Lily stood strong beside him, symbols of unwavering support. We are here to hear each other, to lift each other. Mia chimed in, her voice finding strength in the collective energy. The attendees began to nod, murmurs shifting from fear to encouragement. Suddenly, the doors rattled, and they could hear a commotion outside. It sounded like an ongoing struggle to enter. Tyler took a step forward, fists clenched. If they want to stop us, we will fight twice as hard to share the stories that matter. Together, the crowd echoed, eyes shining with newfound resolve. Standing firm, Tyler held Emily's hand tightly. We're all family here, and we are ready to protect each other. Are you with us? The applause began again, a wave of sound echoing with ferocity, shaking the walls of the auditorium in unison. They shouted, yes, echoing as powerful and unified as thunder. Then let us show them who we are. Not just as individuals, but as a community. Tyler bellowed, feeling the simmering adrenaline transform into courage. He glanced at Lily and Mia, their faces radiant with hope unfurling in the face of adversity. With tambourines of laughter breaking through the tension, members of the audience began to chant. Our voices, our stories, our strength. The walls began to vibrate with determination. Every heartbeat pulsed as one. Minutes felt like hours as they drew close to facing the storm outside. The crowd flooded the stage, eager for their moment, their transformation becoming a movement. Just as the doors burst open, they stood united, a tapestry of voices woven from every corner of their community. Fear might have paid a visit, but it had no power here. They had met their chaos with courage, their hesitations with hope, and as the sunlight poured into the auditorium, illuminating their faces, Tyler felt as if each story shared was like a spark, igniting the long-dormant flame of unity. For the first time, they were no longer ignored. They had transformed into a beacon, shining bright like a lighthouse in the storm. Together, they stepped forward into the light, not dodging fear but embracing it, transforming it into the very essence of their fight. They would remain no longer figurative whispers in the halls of Willow Creek. Together, they would rise into a powerful chorus of stories too long silenced, and the shadows of their past would finally yield to the brilliance of their future. So, what would happen next? That's up to each of you to help shape. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support thrills us. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear your voices. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, and don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through action. Your journey starts here.